We run what we used to climb, racing the clock on the planet's toughest terrain, redefining what's possible in pursuit of records called fastest known times.
As long as there's been trails, people have been seeing how fast they can do trails. Human nature explores limits, and FKTs are sort of about that.
Athletes are chasing FKTs on iconic routes, like the Grand Canyon, the John Muir Trail, and the Appalachian Trail.
Experienced hikers usually need months to go from one end to the other. Jennifer Farr-Davis did it in just 7 weeks.
Jurek did it in 46 days.
Joe McConaughey just ran it in 45 days, the fastest ever.
The FKT movement took off in 2000, when two friends set out to run the John Muir Trail in record time.
The John Muir Trail, I think, is probably the finest long trail route in the world, literally. It's 223 miles and it does not cross a road. So it was an obvious objective. You know, the previous time was 5 days and we were going for under 4.
We didn't really know how this was going to go at all. That was part of the adventure of it.
It went really well up until this major storm hit us on the last day. And that pushed us off the trail big time. Interestingly enough, we were so far ahead at that point that we still got the FKT. I liked the idea of the 4-day JMT as setting the standard, just like the 4-minute mile did. And since then, the John Muir Trail's become iconic all over the world.
I mean, anytime you're an early pioneer in this stuff, you're having to be creative, you're having to take initiative, you're having to see a different path. It's much easier to be like, oh yeah, the JMT can be done in this super quick, minimal style because I've seen all these other athletes do it this way.
All the JMT stories I heard prior to going out there myself, they were all pretty brutal. It was all about how hard it was. The distance was so intimidating initially. The thought of doing over 200 miles was very daunting.
Darcy is an excellent runner. She's very methodical, she's very determined, and she has great natural talent and endurance. So when she approached the John Muir Trail, she had her plan.
We have Darcy cruising through Ray Lakes Basin, approaching mile 50. All systems go.
All right, Darcy.
You guys!
See you in a few hours.
When I heard the result, I literally thought it was being misreported. I was like, damn, really? She went that fast?
2017, I went out and I broke the women's record by over 12 hours.
Sponsored elite ultra running athletes are starting to make these FKT runs a centerpiece of their season. Even just a few years ago, those types of folks might go after an FKT, but it would be kind of a sidelight.
No, that's a big shift to prioritize an FKT over, say, doing well in races. I mean, Kat's a great example. She wins Western States, which is the biggest race in North America in terms of ultra running, and then doesn't really race again the entire summer because she wanted to focus on going for the Grand Canyon, double-crossing FKT.
The Grand Canyon's one of the 7 wonders of the world, How can it not be put up on a pedestal? Breathtaking's an understatement. You feel so small.
Now, she looked at the Grand Canyon and said, this is what I want to do. She got bitten by it. She was training for Western States, but really training for the rim to rim to rim.
Felt like kind of the pinnacle of my career so far.
The FKT might be trending now, but wanting to see how fast you can go from point A to point B is human nature, and there's no better example of that than the Appalachian Trail.
Maine to Georgia, the original long trail in the United States, possibly in the world. It's been around for a long time. Right from the get-go, people are recording, well, how fast can I hike the Appalachian Trail? And they've been doing it ever since. And some of the best ultra runners in the United States have had a go at it.
Well, the Appalachian Trail runs for 2,200 miles from Maine to Georgia, and experienced hikers usually need months to go from one end to the other. Jennifer Farr-Davis did it in just 7 weeks, the fastest time in history.
Scott Jurek is one of the world's most accomplished ultra-marathoners. Jurek did it in 46 days, 8 hours, and 7 minutes.
But Brookline resident Joe McConaughey just ran it in 45 days, 12 hours, and 15 minutes, the fastest ever, and he did it unsupported.
Even though FKTs are in the spotlight, they're still ultimately unofficial records. It all hinges on the honesty of athletes and Peter and Buzz as the volunteer FKT moderators.
Well, of course, record or race is going to have some official certification to it, and an FKT cannot. We will always be a community that relies upon trust and goodwill.
With the advent of technology, there's a higher standard for documenting those goals. I think technology has made tracking your progress much easier. 2009, Strava came on the scene and made FKT not only snowball and grow, but it provided this grassroots opportunity for everybody of all shapes and sizes to be part of this FKT movement.
Everybody can do an FKT, whether it's in your own backyard or whether it's in Antarctica. And we can find personal meaning and have a good time doing it.
100 years ago, it took days to climb what runners now summit in just hours. And no one has pushed the limits further than Spanish superstar Kilian Jornet.
Kilian Jornet is certainly the best mountain ultra runner of his generation in the world. He won every ultra race that he cared to, and he got into FKTs fairly early on. Kilian's best effort really is on the Matterhorn. It's a mix of strong mountain running ability and strong technical ability.
A lot of it's huge exposure, a lot of it's low fifth class, where if you were to fall, you would fall thousands of feet and die.
Basically, Kilian dialed it in. That's the cool thing about FKTs, is knowledge of nature, knowledge of the route. You have to learn it.
Objectives will only get steeper, faster, and more creative as elite runners shift focus from the confines of race courses to the limitless possibility of FKTs.